Flosstube! My name is Amy. I am the Globetrotting Stitcher, and I'm here with you today for episode number 6 on my channel. Welcome, I'm so glad you're here, and hope that you have a good time hanging out with me today. I wanted to start today's episode by saying a huge thank you to Rochelle Witt. Rochelle did some training with my husband a couple of years ago, and she's really fantastic with creating graphic designs. And so we had chatted with her. We wanted to change things up a little bit. And so you may have noticed actually in episode 5, we started using some new graphics that she created for us. And she did a really great job on the little banners. They're called lower thirds, and they come up on the screen for to provide information about the various pieces. And so she just did a really beautiful job designing those for us. And we got them after we had filmed episode 5, so we weren't able to acknowledge the work that she did in that episode. But we wanted to make sure to start off this episode by saying thank you to her and acknowledging what a great job she did and how much we really love those. So we hope you enjoy those, and we'll be bringing in some more work that she's going to be doing into future videos. So thank you, Rochelle. I also wanted to take a minute to correct something that I said in the last video that was wrong. So you might remember that I shared my color conversion to African American skin on Oh Christmas Tree that I did for my family. And a couple of folks were interested in that, and so I had shared the conversion. And after we filmed, I was watching it, and I thought, I'm not sure I gave the right floss colors. And what's kind of funny about that is when I had stitched it, when I was actually doing the conversion and I stitched it, the first time I stitched the little boy, he came out looking extremely gray. And so the colors that I actually shared in the video were the colors that made him come out looking gray. So I'm so sorry.
Well, the colors you said in
Yes.
the video.
Yes, the colors that I said with my mouth. Gary actually corrected the numbers in the graphic that he put up on the screen beside me, and we also have the correct DMC numbers in the description box below that video. But I wanted to also in this video just take a moment to share the correct floss colors so that we can be absolutely sure that anybody that wants to use that conversion is able to actually use the conversion that I did when I stitched the final version of the piece. So those colors for the skin from darkest to lightest are DMC 898, 632, and 3772 with an outline in 3371. So again, we'll include those in the description box below. The conversion that I shared for the hair was perfectly fine. That's the one I used. So apologies for the mistake. I also wanted to tell you guys about something that was really exciting and that we really enjoyed. So several weeks ago, we had the opportunity, we were invited by Becca at Sambry Stitches to be a part of her interview with the Flosstuber series. And so she interviewed us a few weeks ago, and we had an absolute blast sitting down and talking with her. It was so much fun. There were a lot of laughs. And since Gary has been sort of speaking up and joining the videos from behind the camera a little bit, several of you have said, oh, it'd be really fun to see Gary on camera sometimes. Well, this is your chance. Becca really wanted, so she's a personal friend of mine, just even outside of Flosstube, we know each other. And she really wanted to, she knows just how much Gary contributes to making each and every one of these videos and what a central part he is to what you see on Flosstube when you watch them. And so she really wanted to make sure that he was just as much a part of that interview as I was. And so folks could get to know him a little bit. And so this is your shot to see Gary, not necessarily live and in action, but something along those lines. And we talk about our videos and what we're doing together. Anyway, we had so much fun talking with Becca. It was a real blast. It was a lot of laughs. So I'm going to include a link to that interview in the description box below also, but really wanted to highlight that opportunity to get to know Gary a little bit, as well as to hear us just talking about what we're doing together. So please go check that out. So I want to move on to some questions that have come in on the last couple of videos. The first one came from Colleen Isaac. And she was asking, she said, why when doing full coverage designs do people have threads and needles hanging all over? That's a great question, Colleen. Typically you see that, and you'll see that in my designs. You see that when people are using the parking technique, because what you do is you stitch either in a column or a diagonal or whatever your approach is. but you stitch all of one color in a specific spot, and then you park your thread in the next spot where that appears before you finish stitching, the column or the diagonal or what have you. And so the reason why you see the threads hanging down is because they're parked and they're waiting to be stitched in the next section that you work on. A lot of folks find that, they're concerned that would cause a lot of tangling or that it might be confusing. And I've actually, in all the time I've been parking threads, and I've had some pretty thick clumps of threads, but I've never had anything tangle up. I even washed a piece that had parked threads hanging and they didn't tangle. They do get in the way a little bit sometimes, but I don't find them difficult to work with. So for some folks it works and for some folks it doesn't, but that's the reason why you see that. The next thing I wanted to say, this wasn't a question, but a comment. So you'll remember in episode 5, I was telling you that my new start that I had, the new start that I had on the Delivering Plenty chart by Homespun Elegance, that I was not able to track down the little acorn charm that you need to finish off the design. And so I was asking for some tips on where to find that. Well, Nevada Stitcher left me a note saying that Homespun Elegance, who is the designer for that chart, has a shop on Etsy. And so I wanted to say thank you because I was able to go to that shop and actually find the acorn charms that I need. And I was able to order one. And so it should be on its way very soon. So I won't have anything holding me up from finishing that. So thank you so much, Nevada Stitcher. I really appreciate the suggestion. On a related note, Michelle Gadja was so sweet, and she said she has a whole bunch of acorn charms or buttons that she has in her stash, and she said, show me a picture of what you need or tell me what you need. I'd be happy to share with you. I thought that was so kind. So thank you so much, Michelle. Because I was able to actually find the called for charm in the Homespun Elegance shop, I don't need it, but I wanted to just tell you how much I appreciated that really kind offer. Then the final question came, this one is not for me. So Stitchaholic mentioned that she has a graphics background. Actually, I don't know if you're a she, Stitchaholic. You might be a he, I'm not sure. So apologies for my assumption there. But Stitchaholic said that that they have a graphics background but have never traveled down the video path. And so they wanted to ask Gary what editing software he uses. Gary, you want to weigh in?
Adobe Premiere. But I also use Illustrator and Photoshop. So while I use Premiere to put all of the stuff together, I use Illustrator and Photoshop to put the pictures together and Illustrator for the graphics. But we're moving graphics to Rochelle because that's her thing, not mine.
Rochelle, you've been served notice. Okay, so that's it for questions and comments for this week's video. So I thought it's been a couple of weeks since I shared any previous finishes, and so I raided my mom's stash again, and I thought I would just share a couple of really old finishes with you that I was able to pull out of her collection. So the first one comes to you from 1996. So we've got a 24-year-old finish. This is one that I did for my dad. I have no idea who the designer was. What I can tell you is that this came from a kit. This is Psalm 23, and had it professionally framed at a shop that sadly no longer exists. So back in the 90s, there were at least 4 or 5 cross-stitch shops here in the Pacific Northwest, all within relatively close proximity. And I was actually lucky to live like right in the center of where all of those shops were. And this shop was about 10 minutes from my house, and I was in there all the time. It was called the Stitching Parlor. They were a great little shop. And so they framed this piece for me to give to my dad. And it's held up pretty well. If you look at it close up, you could see it could use a good washing because we chose not to have it framed with glass. But that was a fun stitch, and my dad has been enjoying it for a long time. So that is Psalm 23, designer, kit manufacturer, unknown. Okay, the next previous finish I want to share with you is a pretty special one, and Gary's going to help me because this one is pretty big and heavy.
Let's come around the other side.
Okay, thank you. So this is a design that I stitched. I think I finished this in 2004. Thank you. Or 2005. I have it. Thank you very much. As you can see, it's huge. This is Peace Angel. Bring it down?
Yes.
Is that better?
No, it's not going to matter.
Oh, dear. I'm going to scoot over a little.
No.
No?
No, that's not it. Here, you have to turn it sideways. If you want the whole thing to fit, turn it sideways.
Like that?
No.
Oh, like that?
Everybody.
Oh, like...
Yes. Otherwise, it's not going to fit. So, no.
This is no.
You know what? Just... Here you go. That's the ticket.
Okay.
We'll put up a picture.
Technical difficulties.
Make sure you point at it.
Okay. So this piece, this is Peace Angel. This is by Lavender and Lace. And this is a design that I stitched. So my Aunt Carol, my father's sister, when I stitched this, she had actually come to visit us, and she at the time had been fairly recently diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and her prospects were not looking good. And we actually, I want to say we visited a local stitching shop together. I don't remember the exact details around it, but I remember that she knew I was a stitcher, and she bought me a chart that I had wanted for a long time. It was actually Celtic Spring. And when she bought that, she saw the chart for this design. And as somebody who at that point was facing a pretty serious cancer diagnosis without a whole lot of hope, this design really spoke to her, and it touched her heart, and it gave her a lot of peace. And so she bought it, and she asked if I would stitch it for her. The original design, the angel is in a cream colored dress, and she asked if I would change the colors because she wanted the angel to be wearing a blue and pink dress. And this was actually my very first color conversion. So I stitched this for her. This was also the first design I ever stitched the skin. I actually stitched it 2/1, which I don't know what I was thinking. That was a nightmare. But I stitched this and I framed it for her myself. And she had this hanging on the wall in her room up until the day she passed away. And I was so honored to be able to make something for her that she communicated to us several times just how much it comforted her and it gave her peace to be able to look at this angel as she was fighting through her final days. And so we now have it back with us, and we keep it in very loving memory of Aunt Carol. So this is Peace Angel.
Sorry.
Oop.
Whoa.
Lost a little bit of myself with that one. Yeah, my Aunt Carol, she was also, what many of you don't know about me is that I have been in the past and still am, I love to hike. And that is something that my Aunt Carol also shared. And so when she visited, we got to take a lot of wonderful hikes, and we have some really wonderful memories of the times we spent with her. So yeah, those are previous finishes. I also have an FFO to share with you. So you will remember that fairly recently, a couple videos ago, I showed you my finish on the August Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks. This is stitched on 28 count mushroom Lugana. And as I do with all of my cottages, I've mounted it using magnets on the frame that my dad made and that Gary stained for me. I am loving this finish. So I mounted it on the sticky board, and then I have it, this sherbet colored fabric that it's on is just, I don't know why, because I'm not normally an orange lover, but it gives me so much joy. And then we've got the blue, but I have something else to show you. Oop, oop. I don't know why, but this little topper piece, so I assembled this, I used the tutorial that Priscilla and Chelsea recently released on their channel about how to create one of these. And I'm geeking out over this. I love it so much. So I just clipped some flowers and some little, some little things from the floral department. and have some little bows here and a white seashell, and this is just giving me so much joy right now. So this is my fully finished August cottage, and it's been hanging in our kitchen, and I smile every time I see it. And so I'm definitely planning to go collect more little bits and odds and ends and ribbons to create similar topper pieces to accent the rest of the cottages, because I just think this is so much fun and adds so much. So that's my FFO on August cottage. Oops. Okay, so I have worked on 2 whips since my last video. The first one, the first one was my Rose Quaker sampler. I'm going to show that one to you later because it's big and bulky, and I'm going to need a little bit of help from Gary on that one. So first I'm going to show you what I was working on most recently, and that was my Celtic Autumn. And you'll remember that the last time I stitched this, I was a little disappointed because I hadn't made a whole lot of progress, and I'm kind of feeling the same way this time. She is being stitched on 32 count Earthen Belfast linen by Picture This Plus. And what I was able to accomplish on her this time is I stitched one more medallion on the border here. Medallion. We'll call it a medallion. So I stitched one of those, and then I finished this diagonal in the skirt. Let me just move these parked threads out of the way. And then started the next diagonal, and I got almost all the way to the bottom, but I just didn't. We had a really busy week. Actually, we had a really busy weekend, and so that's when I get a lot of my stitching time usually, and I just didn't get much time on her. But she's coming along, she's filling out. Those colors are just so rich and beautiful, and I'm really enjoying her. You'll notice I have this little thingy on here. So this is a new discovery that I just made fairly recently. Caitlin from Space Cat Crafting was sharing this in one of her recent videos, and I thought it was brilliant. So one of the things that I think a lot of stitchers who use the parking technique run into is when you have all of these threads hanging, they do kind of get in the way. They can get a little bit messy. And so Caitlin was sharing these little things. They are, let me show you the package. So they're called bobbies. And they're a couple dollars on Amazon, and you get a package of, I think, 6 of them. And what you do is you pop it open, and then you just wind all of your park threads around it, and then pop it closed, and it holds them securely. It makes sure that, like I said, I've never had problems with them tangling, but if that's a concern, that this little tool would prevent them from tangling, and it keeps them held up and out of the way, and it also keeps them a little bit cleaner. So that was kind of a cool find for those of you that practice, that use the parking technique. You might find that useful if you haven't tried it. But anyway, this is where we are with Celtic Autumn. And I really do hope that I can have a nice chunk of time to put in on her next time around, because I'm itching to see more progress on her. I would have loved to have her finish in time to hang up this autumn, but it's not going to happen. So we'll work on her and have her ready for next year. So there we go. Okay, and then as I had mentioned, my next whip is Rose Quaker Sampler. And this one, I'm gonna need a second here. Okay. Thank you, Gary.
I didn't know that was there. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
Do you still need me to stand here?
I think maybe.
Can I be Vanna?
Yes, please be Hannah. So
Hannah.
Ganna.
Here, I'll just hold the bottom.
Thank you. That's super helpful. Okay, there we go. So I'm actually. There we go. Sorry, this is a little bit of a train wreck. Money. Snacks. So this one, I'm really happy with how much progress I made on the Rose Quaker Sampler this last time. And I had mentioned to you, I felt like I was getting into the home stretch with her. So I was able to... Gary just got full responsibility for holding this up.
Without notice. Without notice,
but he's doing it so beautifully. So I was able to finish this motif along the side here. I finished this motif.
Yeah, you're going to have to hold up the top one.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should have practiced.
We should have practiced this.
You're on your...
We could all come crashing down.
We'll use arrows.
And then I began...
Just tell me where to point. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, okay, so the 2 motifs on the very bottom.
Here?
Yes, so I finished that one. And I started that one. And then I'd stitched the D and the N, and then that little motif up above the N. There you go. So I have exactly 3.5 motifs left to stitch on this before it's going to be finished.
No pointing?
No more pointing. I think I can say with a pretty high degree of confidence that this one should be finished in August, and I will get to start something new, and we'll be able to get this one moving along into the final finishing process. So I'm really, really excited to be heading into the home stretch. This piece has been at times frustrating to stitch, but it is so beautiful, and I think it's really worth it, and I'm so looking forward to having it done and ready to hang on the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and roll it back up. And we will come up, now that it has grown beyond the size where it can easily be shown on camera, we will come up with a strategy and we will practice before we show this to you again.
We could use a different picture.
We could have, but we did not. Okay, the next thing I have to share with you today, I also had a new start this week. So as I was telling you in my last video, I was able to get a finish on my January cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks. And so I have a modest new start on the March cottage. I have finished the border along the top and have started stitching the word March and the little flowers and clovers that are beside it, and should be getting started on the house sometime this week. So looking forward to continuing to work on this. One thing that I was kind of surprised when I started on it, the photo that is provided with the chart, this pink color actually looks like it's more of a coral. And so I was really surprised when I was pulling the floss for this and realized that it was actually a kind of a bright pink instead of a coral color. But I think it's going to be pretty, and it's very springy. So there we go. March Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks, being stitched on 28 count mushroom Lugana. Okay. So that's it as far as what I've accomplished since my last video. Between now and the next time we film, I will be working on Delivering Plenty by Homespun Elegance. That one, let's see, I didn't bring it with me, but that one is actually a really quick stitch. And I think there's a reasonably good chance that I might get it finished. And I've already sort of picked out what I want to stitch next, but I'm waiting for a piece of fabric to come for that design. And if that fabric doesn't come, which it's really behind schedule, it was supposed to be here a few weeks ago. If that fabric does not come, then I will be starting something else that I have kitted up and waiting in the wings. So what I start next when I do finish that will be a surprise to you and to me. So we'll see if I'm able to get another new start within the next week or so. Aside from those two things, I will be working again on my Rose Trellis In, which is my full coverage piece. And looking forward to getting to start working on the roof of the turret on that big house. And then, of course, we'll continue to work on my March cottage as I have some time. So that is it for us today. We hope that you are all doing well. We hope you're enjoying summer and that you're getting the kind of weather that you like where you are. We've had much warmer weather here the last couple of weeks, although it's not quite as warm as it normally is in summer. And we're keeping busy and spending a lot more time outside and doing yard work. So anyway, if you like this video, we hope that you will hit the like button, give us a subscribe, ring the little bell or hit the little bell so you get notifications when we post new videos. And please do leave comments. We really enjoy reading all of your comments, getting your questions and your feedback. So
there's comments?
There's what?
Nothing good.
Some things must be kept secret. Anyway, continue stitching on all of the things that you love. Be well, stay safe. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.